All right, y'all. Episode 3, social class. We back in this thing, man. I feel good, bro. I feel good. We back on it. You know what I mean? Man, let me see. Where do we start? Where do we start? First, I think I wanted to acknowledge something we didn't get to acknowledge last month that I was telling you about was Black History Month. And I want to make sure I said it on the podcast, bro. Like, it's so crazy to me how I was wondering last month, like, because I was doing a Black History Month presentation for my church. I told you about it.
Yeah.
And I stopped and I thought to myself, I was like, why do we have, like, not why do we have Black History Month, but like, when did it start?
The
You know what I
origin.
mean? Yeah, exactly. Like, what's the origin of it? Like, who made it February? Because, we all fuck around and joke around how it's like the shortest month and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So I was like, damn, like, I asked my mom, I was like, Mom, like, what, like, who started it? Like, how did it even happen? She was like, I don't know. And I was like, damn, shouldn't we know that? Like, isn't that like the whole point of Black History Month? Like, the irony in
Man.
it. So, like, we don't even know where the fuck it started. So I looked it up and I just wanted to educate people on how Black History Month started. And I was telling you that it started in 1926. A historian by the name of Carter G. Woodson. Um, they coined him along with, I believe it's the Association of the Study of Negro History and Life in 1926. They established what was called Black History Week, which was a week that they acknowledged like all the achievements of the black people that came before them. And then it wasn't until, and the reason, my bad, almost skipped this part, and they made it the second week of February because of the birthdays of Abraham Lincoln being February 12th and the respected, or not respected, the what do you call it? Like the accepted birthday, because I guess they didn't know when Frederick Douglass's real birthday was. So his accepted birthday was February 14th, Valentine's Day. So they made the second week of February Negro History Week because of their birthdays.
Okay.
And then it went on like that until 76. And it didn't become like a nationally recognized thing until 1976. Then it became extended from a week to recognized nationally as Black History Month. So that's where it came from. So I don't know. I just thought it was dope to just like tell everybody so you know that now. That's how Black History Month started. It's real important if you're black. I'm black. Malcolm's black. We all black. That's what it is. But no, I wanted to shed light on that first. Because I thought it was important that we recognize Women's History Month, which is this month, and was International Women's Day was that Sunday?
Yeah.
Yeah, 2 days ago. 2 days ago was International Women's Day. So I thought it would be dope if we kind of like made sure we shed light on women. You know what I mean? Like this podcast and just like going on that. If you're new to this, if you haven't heard us, we don't really know what the fuck we about to talk about. You know what I mean? Like this is open-ended conversation. As a matter of fact, I want to get into like our motivation and everything, but I'm gonna just stay like on topic for now, and we'll just go on what I mentioned. But this is real natural, like real natural. Like I don't know what the fuck's about to happen right now. But yeah, bro. I just thought we start off talking about women. You know what I mean? And you got anything put on that?
Yeah. Nah, but I kind of wanted to touch on too the origin story of Black History Month, how that's parallel to Black people in the United States not necessarily knowing their origin stories. And it's
Mm-hmm.
kind of like that's a problem,
Mm-hmm.
and the solution is Black people knowing their history. So
Mm-hmm.
we got to teach each other. We got to learn from those who know, kind of
Mm-hmm.
type thing.
Yeah.
But bro, women very important. I read an article in Mexico. It was a Reuters article I read this morning, and it was in Juarez. It's like
Mm-hmm.
it's called Ciudad Juarez. It borders with Texas, but there's a lot of
Mm-hmm.
factories there. There's a lot of violence, a lot of cartel, like a lot of super high homicide rate.
Mm-hmm.
But essentially, the women there for a day stopped going to their factory jobs, and like they
Mm-hmm.
all came together because like the headline of the article was "A Day Without Women," and it was kind of just like them finally like trying to come together and leveraging the power that they do have, because they do
Yeah.
have power. And that goes back to like what you were saying, what Pharrell was saying at one time, like literally if women all came together, like that's the
Mm-hmm.
power, the collective power that they have.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't know, people lose sight of that, people
Yeah.
forget that
No, for real. Like
women are powerful.
I remember when we were talking like a week ago, and I was telling you I brought that up about like that Pharrell interview. Pharrell did the interview with Oprah Winfrey. Like I think it was like 2000, and don't quote me on the date, but if you look up Oprah and Pharrell, you're sure to find it. But it was just them sitting down. They were reflecting on, he released an album called Girl, but he had pretty much just said, like, which I totally agree with. It's not it's not like it's gonna happen, but he was just saying, like, women really have the power to end the fucking world. Like, if they all just come together and stay strong and hold hands like they really can, and just be like, no more babies, the world is over. So it's like, why do, like, I really don't understand, like, how any man can disrespect a woman when we come from women, bro. Like, for real. Like, why do we belittle women, and, like, not belittle them, but they're like, in a case like I've said before, like, second class citizens, like, they were a minority at one point, like, fighting for their rights, and, like, there's so many layers to it that I'm trying to, like, decipher, because I don't want to say something that I don't mean. But I don't know, man. I think for sure that the men need to recognize the strength that women have more than anything, because it's a different type of strength that we don't have. Like,
That's why they can't recognize it, because it's different.
Yeah.
And I feel like they don't appreciate it
Yeah.
because of that. But it's like, it goes back to perspective. It's like, men have been so unwilling for so long to even listen to the perspective of women, and they still kind of try to control them in a way where it's like they don't believe they're smart enough to have control over their own future and, like, their own destinies and, like, their own bodies.
That's
And
crazy.
it's like, it's crazy because it's like,
It's
literally,
like the exact opposite, though. That's
it's 2020,
yeah.
and we understand that women have the power to create life, and it's like we still don't give them the power to choose what they want to do with it.
Yeah.
It's like, why not? They're the ones. It's their power. Let them utilize it how they want to. But it's like, again, it's men in their perspective being like, we need control of everything. It's got to come through our way, and it's so limiting because the problem with that is you can't see the other side. You can't see the value and the strength in women.
Yeah.
And the way they operate.
Yeah.
But I feel like because I was just thinking about it. Women are really the balance. Like, that's really, because balance is very important in life, and, like, that's something I learned, and, like, that's something I'm a big believer in, and that's why I believe women really are a balance.
Yeah.
It's like, it's needed.
Yeah.
But it's been lacking, I think.
Yeah. I think that almost made me think about, well, first, like, touching on the strength of women, that made me think about, I don't know if you saw the memorial service for Kobe, bro, but when Vanessa Bryant got up and spoke, I fucking boo-hooed. Like, that shit was crazy. Because, like, just to see, she pulled out, like, that uncanny women's strength, bro. Like, I couldn't have done that. You know what I mean? Like, that's a different type of strength. Like, it does. At the end of the day, like, what does it matter if you can bench 400 pounds? You know what I'm saying? Like, no, for real. Like, what is it for? Like, you know? Like, women have a different type of strength. It's just, like, I can't even define it. You know what I mean? I really can't.
I feel like it's connected to emotional intelligence, though.
Yeah.
I feel like that's almost the root of it. They're so in tune with their emotions and just their feelings and their bodies and all of that, where it's like, that's all getting neglected and suppressed by men. But not all men, but a lot. And so, like, I feel like that's kind of like where their underlying strength comes from. Part of it.
It's like, I remember I was talking to my mom the other day. I got passionate on her too, bro. Like, I got into what I was saying, but I was telling my mom pretty much about a situation with, like, me and one of my friends, and I was just kind of comparing, like, the way men traditionally deal with problems compared to, like, how women do. You know what I mean? And it's crazy because men, bro, like, we really, when it comes to problems, is either like, are we going to fight and, like, it's over. That's what I was telling my mom. I was like, usually when dudes have problems, like, either you're going to fight or you're cool.
Yeah, or it's not a, or it's not a problem.
Straight up, or it's not a problem. Like, those are the only two fucking options to solve it. Like, either we fight, and it's like, does that even really solve anything? Because I was telling my mom, just, like, looking back on history, like, we've always been a society as America dominated by men. You know what I mean? And it's like, look at all the problems that we have. Look at, like, the way we try to solve things. Like, all we have is just a shitload of war. That's pretty much what I told my mom.
That's on a global scale.
Exactly, on a global scale. It's just a shitload of war, no real reasoning. You know what I mean? It's just like we fight, lives are lost, a whole bunch of casualties, then it's just more problems, and it's another cycle. It's another type of cycle we go through. But sometimes I think, like, hypothetically, like, what if women, you know what I mean, were in power? You know, like, how would that be? I feel like it would be a lot more reasoning. And I'm not trying to put men down, but I'm just saying.
A lot more peaceful.
Exactly,
it's just that's the difference, though, like, the problem solving and, like, how you handle situations, how you looking at things, because it's more emotionally charged. you're able to see more sides and more in depth of it. Whereas like men, it's only like if you're only looking at it from from a fighting perspective, then it's like it's only gonna be one solution.
Yeah.
And that's the way it's been.
And it's not a solution though. That's what
that's the problem.
That's what I'm saying. It puts you in even worse. Because then there's, I mean, retaliation. You know what I mean? The resentment builds up because men have ego. You know what I mean? So you don't want to be the one that loses. So then it's like if you lose, then you got to come back even harder. And then that person, you know, whatever happens to them, then they got to come back even harder. Like, I'm not a gangbanger, but I mean, that's what gangbanging is. You know what I mean? It's just retaliation based. Like, we got to constantly one up each other. We got to go back at you, go back at you, go back at you, and then it never ends. Nothing ever gets solved.
That's the conundrum, bro, and that's the craziest part. Men are very emotional creatures, but they are so out of touch with their emotions.
And they don't know how to express
because exactly, a lot of it's like, I mean, it's like Machiavelli says, love and fear. Like, those are the two driving principles of men. And it's like, I feel like a lot of men, it's like, it's just that fear. But it's like, it's emotion where it's like, it's fear and not knowing how to process or address fear, so that just translates to anger and like frustration. So that's kind of what gets outwardly expressed. Is like, I'm just gonna be tough. I'm gonna fight. I'm gonna be angry. Like, I'm gonna just stay in that. Yeah. And it's like there's no growth in that. There's no. Yeah. There's nothing else in that.
And it's like I remember I was listening to a Nip interview too, and he was talking about he was talking about Pac. He was talking about Tupac. And a point that he had brought up, I'm gonna bring it back to where I'm trying to get at. But he was just talking about how intelligence for men sometimes can be like a sign of weakness. Like if you're intelligent, you're weak. Crazy. That's so crazy to me, because if you think about it, like, bro, like relating that to emotions, like if I'm sitting here, like if I'm in a room full of men, right? That's like not somebody like you know what I'm saying? And I'm talking to them, and I'm like, hey guys, like let's decipher this. You know what I mean? Like let's figure this out. I'm a punk.
For sure.
For real, no, I'm a punk.
Exactly
like, for real,
it,
it's like, what the fuck is wrong with this nigga?
Listening.
Like, yeah, exactly. They're not listening. They're like, bro, like, the fuck are you talking about? You know what I mean? Like, it's, I don't know, man. It's just so crazy to me how, like, we as men, we really need to get in touch and, like, figure out, because, honestly, bro, like, just from my own experience with my friends and stuff, like, a lot of my friends, they holding in shit, bro.
A lot of men are holding in shit.
They're holding shit in.
Bro, it's crazy.
Like,
and they refuse it. They don't want to go to therapy. They don't want to talk to people. They're just going to keep holding it in and releasing it in toxic and negative ways.
I'll even share, like, I just had a situation with one of my closest friends recently. It was really weird, bro. Like, I'm sure he won't mind me putting this out. You know, I don't name names, but whoever's close to me could probably figure out who it is. I don't really give a fuck because we're good now. You know what I'm saying? But it was so weird because, like, maybe about, like, 3 to 4 months ago, me and him had just kind of, like, got at a weird place because he kind of, like, stopped talking to me. You know what I mean? And it was just kind of, it was weird. Like, nothing really happened. Actually, we have a dynamic. It's me and this friend, and then another homie too. It's like 3 of us. We all hang out together, and it was crazy because, like I said, like this one homie in particular, he just stopped talking, and me and the other dude were just kind of like, you know, what's going on with bro? Like, why is he kind of ignoring us, you know, and not responding to us? So time passed on a little bit, and I didn't know if anything was wrong with him. You know, I assumed like he was probably like busy or something. I didn't really know. But then he was just kind of like directly ignoring me. And I was like, damn, like, all right. Like, you know, took it kind of personal a little bit. And I had my own things I was going through too. Like I've told you before, like how, you know, I felt like I was at a place where I had like a lot of friends where like, I could be in a room full of people that I know, but I still felt alone type shit. Yeah. Because it was just like nobody's really on the same page. Like exactly, I didn't really feel understood. But it was around that point too, so that probably caused us to drift apart like even farther. Yeah. But bottom line, I remember, like I said, it was a dynamic of 3 friends. So me and the friend that stopped talking to me, you know, we're just not talking. Then meanwhile, I continued to hang out with the other dude. You know what I mean? Even though it was like, you know, usually a dynamic of 3 of us. I was originally closer to the dude that stopped talking, you know, that we stopped talking to. Then I got closer to the other dude. So, and we have something in common now, you know, like what the fuck is up with like member number 3? Yeah. So yeah, for real. So yeah, we started hanging out together, and it was a common thread of our conversation, you know, like what's wrong with bro? And like, I remember going through like a flurry of emotions, bro. Like at first, I was kind of like sad about it, and then I was upset. I was upset because like I've told you before how like I treat my friends like their family. Like it's a
Yeah.
big deal for me to call somebody my friend. And like friends don't do each other like that. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like I was calling bro, texting him, and it was really abnormal for him not to respond. You know what I mean? In the amount of time he did. I understand the factors of somebody being busy,
Yeah.
but it was like he was not. Nigga had time.
Yeah.
Bottom line, nigga had time. So yeah, bro, I was just kind of like just upset because in my mind, like we don't do each other like that.
Yeah.
You know, like my friends, I would never do any of my friends like that. But then I remember there was one day in particular where I was with member number two, not the one that was talking to us, and I remember like some negative energy came about a little bit, and then I was just like, hold on, you know what I mean? Like let's not
Jump
go
to.
that route. Let's not jump to conclusions,
Yeah.
because also in the back of my head was perspective. Like I always say, like he could be going through something,
Mm.
you know what I mean? And he just doesn't feel like he could tell us. Like
Yeah.
I don't know what it is, but I remember like I went through just like I said, being upset, being frustrated, to just like kind of feeling sorry for him, even though I don't even know if he's going through some shit, to being mad, to like I wanted to fight, like for real, like at one point, because I was like out of love though,
Yeah.
like you know what I mean, just like what the fuck is wrong with you, bro? Like niggas love you, like,
Yeah.
but yeah. Bottom line, 3 months went past, and then I remember he had like, oh, that's what happened. I ran into him like randomly, like at a park, bro. I ran into him. It was just like God, the law of attraction, all of that type shit. Cause it was weird. Cause I have a certain schedule and a routine, and for some reason that night something told me to go, like to the park to hoop. And then sure enough, I wasn't even there 5 minutes, and bro was there. So, he walks up, and I was happy to see him. I hadn't talked to him, like I said, seen him in 5 months, despite he hadn't replied to me, despite that I was like, what's going on. I was happy to see him.
Yeah.
So ran up to him, like gave him a big hug and everything. And then, we was about to hoop, so I wasn't really trying to get into it too deep right then.
Yeah.
But then after we hoop and we're walking back to the cars, I remember I had asked him straight up, because there's a lot of changes that I've made in my life over the last like 3 to 4 months
Mm-hmm.
that bro wasn't privy to.
Yeah.
So like
Very true.
I'm like low key a different person than I was in like late November. You know what I mean?
100%.
Now, like 100%. So I remember just asking him just straight up when we were walking back to the car. I was like, "Yo, so like what happened?" Because actually, we weren't even about to. He wasn't going to address it. Like it was like we saw each other, hadn't spoken, which is completely abnormal. But he wasn't going to say anything. So then, as a matter of fact, he was just like, "Yo, like catch you on the flippity flip, like like time,
Yeah, like,
time to go."
Jokes.
And I was like, "Wait a minute, you know what I mean? Hit the brakes real quick." I was like, "Yo, like." So what happened? You know what I mean? Over the last like 3 months, like I haven't talked to you, I haven't returned my calls. Like, what's up? And he was just like, I just been, busy, whatever. And I was like, no, bro, like for real, like what happened? Nigga starts laughing. This is like an ode to like how like out of touch with like emotions men are, because he knew I was serious.
Yeah.
He knew I was dead ass serious, but he thought we could just laugh this off.
Laugh it off. Like
For real, like bro was
it's
just like.
jokes.
He just like literally like, and I'm just staring stone faced, bro. Just looking at the nigga like, what's up? You know what I mean? Like not mad, but just like, yo, like talk to me. What
Yeah.
happened? He's just trying to laugh, like, bro. He ended up like joking it off, and then pretty much like I said, I didn't laugh, I didn't feed into it, but he tried to laugh it off. Then he started making jokes like, oh, like you want me to tuck you in at night, like we, like extra over accommodating for not talking to me type of thing.
Yeah.
I just like, nah, bro. Like, and I could see we weren't really going to get anywhere, and I didn't feel like getting into conversation that wasn't going to be constructive, because I saw where his energy was at. So I just like, I love you, bro. Like, I'll catch you later. So then in the following days, he hit me, but to be honest, like because of how I'm living my life now, like I couldn't act like shit didn't happen. You know, I can't just act like, just laugh that shit off. Like, haha, nigga, haven't talked to you for 3 months, even though you're my best friend. Like, but that's normal. Like, whatever. Now we're back to doing, kicking the shits. So, yeah, he hit me a few times, and I don't know if he probably didn't recognize at that time, because he was just kind of out of touch. I feel like, I don't know, because the crazy thing is he never told me.
Yeah.
So I don't even really know exactly what he thought, but I guess he thought like everything was cool, but I pretty much told him like we need to talk. You know what I mean? Like that type of thing. So he was receptive to it, so I was happy about that. But I set up because like I originally started telling you the story. There's a dynamic of three of us,
Yeah.
and I didn't want whatever happened between me and him to get in between, the relationship of them two, because that's their relationship. That's not my relationship.
True.
So I made sure like all three of us came together, and I told him what I felt. You know what I mean? But that's something that's not normal. You know what I mean? Nowadays, like
Among men too.
exactly, like we don't do that. And the cool thing is, like we talked for like a cool like 2 or 3 hours. All three of us, gave our input and everything, and like whether he was fully receptive to it or not, like he knows where I stand, and moving forward, like I definitely feel like it's going to be progressive. You know what I mean? Just because we had a conversation about it, you know what I mean? And I'm almost willing to put my life on it 200% that we're going to be even closer now.
Facts.
Because we had that talk. You know what I mean? And it's just communication, bro, for real. Just like, because a lot of people would either let that go one of two ways. Either they would just act like nothing happened and continue to have an empty, meaningless relationship, or just let shit die and they wouldn't even talk to them anymore. And that's not how it's supposed to go. For real, that's not how we do people that we claim that we love and we consider our friends. We should be able to openly communicate with these people. That was one of the things I told him. I was like, bro, like I want to be able to talk to you about shit for real. Like I don't want to have like an empty friendship with you or a meaningless friendship. Like we're friends for a reason. You know what I mean? Like if you have something on your mind, tell me. I'm here for you. That's what we're supposed to be here for. And even like the second dude he had told me that he had never had a friend like me. Like somebody that he could talk to. Bro is fucking 22 years old.
It's crazy.
And he's never had a friend that he could just talk to about
That's
anything.
normal.
And that's crazy though, bro. It should not be like that. It should not be like that.
But that's kind of what we're trying to do, because it's like it's just highlighting the simplicity but the power of conversation.
Mm-hmm.
That's all it is. Like simple conversation about meaningful topics.
Yeah.
Just talk about what you care about. Talk about emotions, what you're feeling. Like it's so uncommon among men.
Mm-hmm.
And if we can get that started, if we can get that conversation, then it's like a large effect. It can really have a large effect. And like I feel like that's a prime example of it. Of like someone who, because there's a lot of men who like they don't want to. It's like for whatever reason, maybe it's fear, maybe it's like just laziness. They don't want to tap in. They don't want to, or it's perception even. Like they don't want to be seen as in their feelings. That's a whole nother, you know what I'm saying? It's crazy.
And for the record, sorry to cut you off, bro really didn't even tell me anything. Like, for the record. Like, when I told you we came together, we had that talk.
You really never got his perspective.
You don't know
what he feels.
I don't know what the fuck
And the only way you can get someone's perspective is if they tell you themselves.
And if they tell you themselves.
If they can't tell you, if they can't formulate that
and
articulate that, then how are people supposed to know?
Mm-hmm. The way I looked at it was just like, he knows how I'm moving forward. And I'm not going to be mad at him for something that I never addressed in the time prior. Like, how can I be mad at you for something you didn't even know? Yeah. You know what I mean? So that's how I just kind of looked at it in order, like I said, to be progressive. Because if not, then we'd either just be talking in circles or I'd come off like a fucking therapist. You know what I mean? Just like pressing him, like, tell me what you feel. Like, that type of thing. And I was just like, nah, like, I'm not going to do that. But for the record, I still don't even know how bro really feels. He just kind of agreed with everything I said, which wasn't even what I was looking for. It was like, okay. I said how I felt, like what do you think about that? You know what I mean? Like, even if whether it's indifferent, whether it's totally opposite, I don't care. You know what I mean? Because we're not here to judge, and I'm not going to get mad because you have a different opinion or you saw something differently than I did, or even if it's the same thing, like reiterate it in your own words. You know what I mean? And that's something that as men, bro, we fail to do. For real, we all fail to do that. We don't do that.
Very true.
Yeah, man. And we don't listen too, man. That's another thing. Like we always talk about how people want to be heard and listening and stuff. Like I remember to get back like on the topic of women, I specifically like hold on, I'm gonna show you this. I saved this. I'm not going to out anybody. Niggas might get bad, but I mean nobody knows who the fuck you are, so I mean it is what it is. But I was in the gym with my homies, right? Mm-hmm. And bottom line, one homie had posted something about like a girl like talking, you know what I mean? And somebody pretty much just said like niggas don't want to hear none of that. You know what I'm saying? Like something's wrong, she'll just be fine. Like just say like just pretty much like just be like like while she talks. Yeah. And that it seemed like the girl was really trying to talk about something, bro, and it's just like that's a problem. Like why don't we listen to women? You know what I mean? Like it's crazy because in my life, one of my best friends and the person that I learned the most from is a woman. For real. Like I don't know why as men we front off women's opinions. Like I think we need to listen to women more and listen in general.
It's layered though. It's layered because it goes back to men only respecting and listening to women they're attracted to, or they trying to. It's like conquest. It's like if they can get something out the woman, then it's like they'll listen to her, they'll give her some attention. But it's like if she can't do anything for him, then it's like why do they feel the need to listen to her? That's like how I feel like a lot of men think, and it's like that's what's dangerous.
Yeah.
And that's what leads them to not even listening and not being able to hear. They don't value the platonic friendships with women. They don't just value women themselves. They only value them for their sexual like objectification. And it's like it's not right, but like that's a lot of, you see it a lot.
Yeah, that's where ego comes in. Just like treating women like they're inanimate objects and just something that you just knock down and like, you know,
no,
like that's it. Just
no
like,
attachment, no love, no care. It's just like, I hit it.
Yeah,
I did that.
I wonder how many niggas looking at this like, you know what I mean? Like not in agreement right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's the thing.
But it's the truth.
No, it's crazy because it's like I'm just gonna get into it early. This was gonna be for the book recommendation at the end, but it's Boys and Sex, and like the chapter I want people to read, it's chapter 6. It's called I Know I'm a Good Guy, but
say who the book's by and all that shit too. Like let people know.
Peggy Orenstein. And she talks from like 18 to 22-year-olds about like sex, hookup culture, porn, consent, like a whole bunch of different important topics that that even parents struggle to talk to their kids about.
Yeah.
And that's what she talks about. It's like parents and fathers, like what we tell men is literally like growing up, dads would tell their son, use a condom, wrap up, don't get her pregnant, and that's pretty much it. But that's not telling, that doesn't tell someone don't assault somebody. That doesn't tell someone like what consent is. It, it's very vague, and like that's just been the standard. That's just been the normal. And this kind of all is tied together because it's like men's lack of emotional intelligence. It's like who's really getting the burden of that? It's women. The ones that are getting assaulted, the ones that are getting victimized and brutalized because men don't have any emotional intelligence. They don't have any parameters. They don't have any limits. But it's also not like that's the far end of it, but the not so far end is they're expected to deal with all men's baggage, all their emotional trauma that they haven't dealt with, that they that's affecting them in ways that they don't even understand. They just expect a woman to go and deal with that. They're just gonna push that all onto her. Like this is your problem if we're in a relationship now. But it's like that's not fair to her. You're an individual. You got to handle that stuff on your own. And that's something that men really been running from for perception, for different reasons, but it's like that's old. We got to get out of that. Like men got to really get emotionally in tune and start. And see, it starts with being able to talk to other men. It's crazy. It's like men can't even talk to so that's why they feel dependent on women, but they don't even realize the dependency.
Damn. There's a lot of layers to that, man. There's a lot of layers to that.
The platonic friendships, though, that's where to start too. Like if this is just kind of like for anyone, because I've been there too. Like if you're a man and, because like I said, like every guy thinks he's a good guy. Or, you know what I'm saying? Most guys, like you have some guys who say, I'm an asshole. I know I'm an asshole, this or that. But even then, like they're just kind of saying that. They don't genuinely think they're like it.
Yeah,
like,
everybody wants to be a good person.
Exactly. Would think they are, but it's like that's, and because of that, people fail to acknowledge when they aren't. Because that's something else it says. It's like even a good guy can do a bad thing, can do bad things. And it's like, that's why it's just like, it's an awareness. It's like men really need to just develop an awareness in the ways that they affect women. And it's because like, that's what they're ignorant of, because like they don't realize like when they don't listen to women, how unheard they feel. When it's like, they're trying to talk, they're trying to speak, and you're just like, okay, whatever.
There's all Teresa's at the job. Okay.
You know what I mean? Niggas it's like no interest, exactly.
Niggas don't care.
They aren't thinking, how does that make the other person feel? But it's crazy because it's like on the flip side, as soon as they're going through something, or as soon as they're like, they want people to listen. Exactly. And that's why I say it's crazy because men are very emotional. Like you're saying, like very ego driven, very emotional, but it's like they don't acknowledge it. They don't. Bro, it's crazy how like, bro, especially with jealousy. A lot of men where it's like they won't even realize, bro, it's crazy. And I'm not going to, of course we don't name names, but just like everybody probably knows dudes that out there cheating on their girl left and right. As soon as she does anything,
Then it's the
it's
biggest
crazy.
problem.
It baffled,
You over
you know?
here dropping dick at 20 houses.
Exactly, and
You
you're
find
baffled
out
that she dancing on a dude in the
she's
club
dancing on a
with her
dude,
friends.
and
It's
all of a
like,
sudden
bro,
it's like, yo, what?
you
Like,
know, the
how dare
hypocrisy.
you?
It's
How
crazy.
dare you dance on him?
It's
Even
crazy.
though I've been inside of all 30 of these women.
You
like,
know, it's crazy, but it's like
Yeah.
that's the hypocrisy that like men can't see. But like that's what the awareness that I'm trying to bring. That I feel like this podcast that we're trying to bring about. Because it's a Anton Chekhov quote where he's just saying, until you show men what they're really like, they won't change. And like a lot of because of the hypocrisy, men don't see what they're like. Like I'm saying, everyone thinks they're a good guy. Everyone thinks they're doing but it's like the standards are so low that like it all needs to be rethought.
Yeah.
And definitely the perspective of the women needs to be at the forefront of that rethinking.
For sure. You know what's crazy about that though, bro? That even made me think about just the damage that narrative along with social media culture has done. Because now we have women trying to turn it around on dudes. It's like what did you say? You said this. You told me this before. You like the finesse mindset.
Yeah.
It's now women are kind of like, I'm not going to get hurt.
I'm not going to
so
get played.
I'm going to do the hurting. Fuck all that. So then you get like girls trying to be like
desensitizing,
desensitized,
you know, numbing themselves, cutting their emotions off, and that's not natural for them.
Nope.
But they're trying to make it natural for them.
And they're trying to flip it and be with, you know, the new dude, essentially, the new nigga. They're trying to play everybody else now. You know what I mean? Like, you think you're going to go out and get 20 bodies, well, you don't even know what I'm doing. And women are smarter than us, bro.
Much.
They're way smarter than us. And we think that we're smart, but, bro, women, you will never know what a woman does, bro.
It's crazy, man.
That's
another ego thing. Men just think, oh, no, you know what I'm saying? I'm smarter than women.
No,
you know?
bro, they know what they're doing, bro. They know what they're doing. It's scary. Women are so smart that it's literally scary.
Women are powerful, and it's like something that's just like universally and collectively forgotten a lot of the times. But it's like women are very powerful. Like it's crazy.
Yeah, no, for real, man. For real, but at the root of that, man, I think. See, because my whole thing is I'm trying to figure out like how do we begin to solve these things? You know what I mean? Like where does it start? Like who do we correct first? Do we get
men? You got to work on yourself.
Yeah,
that's kind of like it's addressing the problem amongst men, getting men to start talking about it because I feel like it could be a lot of change starting there. Yeah. And it's almost just like how simple things would be if everyone just took care of themselves. Like if men took care of themselves, then it's like women took care of themselves, then it's like coexistence.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden, then you're cohesive and.
It's not men trying to tell women this is what you need to do, this is what you can and can't do, and it's not women trying to tell men that. It's just men. It's like communication, listening to what both sides are coming from, and then trying to meet in the middle.
Yeah, that almost makes me think about just like the concept of like women and equality too, because I would love to hear people's opinions on this one, bro, because I'm still trying to figure it out. You know what I mean? So don't judge me. Like my perspective might change, but I think that like there should be equality. Like if a man's going to do a job and a woman's going to do the same job, they should be paid equally. You know what I'm saying? Like there should be equality in forms amongst women and men. It shouldn't matter if you're a woman, depending, you know, on different circumstances. But at the same time, I think that fight for equality has kind of diminished like the fact that we're different, that needs to be accepted. You know what I mean? Like we need to acknowledge the fact like a woman is so great because she can do everything that a man can't. You know what I mean? And vice versa. Like a man is so great because he can do things that you know what I mean? We complement each other. We're complementary.
It's the balance.
So why are we trying to be the same? You know what I mean? Like be the same. And there's a whole bunch of other stuff that like, you know, genders and sexuality. I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about the basic principles of being a man and being a woman. Like I was listening to a news article. It was Fox News, I believe. Yeah, it was on Fox News, and it was a panel of 3 women. One woman was a professor, one woman was a news anchor, and another woman was like an author. And they were pretty much talking about, like, is chivalry dead? And they were like, did women kill chivalry? And it was cool because they had, like, 2 different perspectives. One of the perspectives was just pretty much considering chivalry to be like women killed it in a sense that by claiming this independence, you know what I mean? And wanting to be so independent for all the wrongdoing that man has done before that it's like, I don't need you anymore. You know what I mean? Like, and that in turn has caused men to kind of like draw back. So then you get like this, and I'm not talking about everybody or anybody in specific, but you have this new woman that's just like, I don't need a man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't need a man to open my door. I don't need a man to pay my way.
I can do all
you
that.
know what I mean? And in turn, like, I agree, but then I don't agree at the same time. You know what I mean? I feel like it's a respect thing. I feel like because of the roles that women play and men play, like me personally, like I open doors for women. You know what I mean? Like whether it's a romantic thing or not, you know what I mean? Just out of respect. Mm-hmm. You know, I open doors and just, I mean, that's a form of chivalry, but that's just like, I think that that's something that's necessary. You know what I mean? Because it creates a precedent in our society of just a respect thing, you know, like, and I think another thing that I kind of want to touch on, I know I'm probably talking in circles, not like going in order, but just like a lot of men need to learn how to respect women's space too. You know what I mean? Like the social aspects of how men treat women, bro. That shit is whack. Like when my friends told me, like she'll be in the club, bro. Like if a girl goes to a club, like dudes have this thing where like when they walk by a girl, like they'll touch her hip. You know what I mean? Like when they walk by, or her ass when they walk by. Yeah. Like
it's no
why
big
you
deal.
have to do that?
Like it's no, and they do it like it's no big deal.
Yeah, like it's nothing. Like bro, like don't touch her like that when you walk. You know what I mean? Like
nobody. You know what I'm saying? Who wants to be touched when they don't want to be? You
exactly.
know,
nobody
no
does.
One. But it's
nobody.
like
if it was a nigga, they would swing on you.
Exactly. You know, but like they don't think of it like that. They just
That's
think
crazy.
of it like I'm entitled. It's entitlement.
But it's like entitlement for what? Like what makes you think you can just infiltrate somebody's space like that and touch them?
That's the male ego, the male superiority, and like patriarchy.
That's
because
crazy.
that's the way things have been for so long. They're just like that's what it is.
I just do what I want.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
You know, it's like the man is gonna say what it is, and like that's what it is.
That's
that's literally kind of been history in a nutshell.
Yeah.
But it's like not really, but it's like as far as like the basic history that people have an understanding is pretty much just it's just the men's perspective and like whoever won the conflict, the military fight. They tell
whoever
tell the story exactly. They tell the story about it, and like that's pretty much what it's been.
That's crazy.
Whole time ignoring a whole half of the population.
Yeah. I would like to hear her story, bro. I wonder if that's even possible. If we could go. It's back
necessary.
Like, it definitely is necessary.
It's necessary.
Because, man, I'm gonna be honest, man. Like we've been fucking up. For real, bro. We've been fucking up.
But it's like they're not in tune enough to acknowledge it or to realize it.
Yeah.
Just gonna keep going, head down in the same direction.
Yeah.
That's why we gotta bring awareness, and like that's why I really think it starts with men, like having the conversations amongst ourselves. Because it's like you were saying, because it is true. Like if we weren't having this conversation, if we weren't how we were, and we were just in a room of like 30 random dudes, like a lot of them wouldn't be rocking with what we're saying. It'd be the opposite.
Hell no.
And it's like a generational thing too. It's some people that older generations. I see this a lot within some of my family members. It's just their whole thinking is literally just like, I'm not gonna say wrong, but it's like. It ain't right.
I have these.
It ain't right. You know what I'm saying? And it's like they genuinely like it makes sense to them. They're like that's just how it is. You know?
Yeah.
That's just the way it is. Like a woman's supposed to do this or that. You know? It's crazy. Bro. Nah, bro. It's even just like
get it out.
Just the hypocrisy, bro. Because this really, bro. I remember when DJ Khaled came out. This is gonna be, and he was just saying he doesn't go down on his wife. And he was just, but he expected her.
But he expected
that
her.
Epitomized like the ideology and the ego of where men are at. You know, just so it's entitlement. I'm entitled to everything, and I don't have to give anything.
Almost like a woman is a servant or some shit.
That's exactly it. And men's pleasure is put above women's. Their basic needs. It's just like as long as I get, as long as I get mine, as long as they get their pleasure, and like that's what needs to change.
Yeah.
It starts from from talking to women, listening and listening to them, because that's part of it too. Yeah. So I would say it comes from correcting men, getting men, but then also listening to women.
Yeah, for real. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna just say it because like I want this to be interactive. Like if any women are out there listening, please feel free to give us feedback. Definitely. You know what I mean? Like in any regard to anything that we're saying, whether we're wrong, whether we're right, like it doesn't matter. That's what this is for. This is a conversation piece because there's a lot of things that we're trying to figure out. We're young, bro. Yeah. We're young as hell. I remember I was talking to, because I had a good weekend. I told you I went to go look at the spot for my show. And I was talking to these people. And the conversation went aside from business and booking the spot. They were the owners of the spot,
Yeah.
and they were pretty much just like admiring really what I was saying. Like, not to be arrogant, you know what I mean, but they're just like admiring the way I was talking and stuff. They thought I was like 28 or 29. I was like, no, like I just turned 22. They were like, what? I was like, yeah, I just turned 22. They're like, oh my gosh, like you're a baby. But bottom line, I just put that out there to say like, yeah, we're talking like this, but we haven't experienced shit. You know what I mean? Like I'm wise enough to acknowledge that I don't know anything, for real. So if anybody has any feedback, like I'm not above like hearing what everybody has to say, whoever it is, even if you're a man too, like speak on it, but don't come with that whack shit just talking about, exactly what we're talking about, not doing. You know what I mean? Like don't be ignorant. Like, yeah.
Come for a conversation, for understanding, to open and willing to learn.
Because that's the point, bro. Like we have to be progressive. That's the point. Like that's what I wanted to get into too. Like just reiterating the motivation behind this podcast. You know what I mean? Like I wanted to get into that too. And I know we said it on episode 1, we said it on episode 2, but I think it's so important to make that crystal clear. You know what I mean? Like the fact that just like we're not just here for attention. You know what I mean? Like that's not what this is about. This is not for everybody to just listen to us and then, like it and say, "Oh, good job, Malcolm. Good job, David. That was dope." Like, no, that's not what this is for. We really want to make real change. Like this is about progression, and it's something that, like I said, it's way bigger than ourselves, bro. Like for real, like opening up that conversation, and especially for young people, that's my main focus is for young people, because if we start moving a certain way, this is going to affect the trajectory of their lives.
It's going to become the norm too.
Exactly. It's going to become the norm. So that's why I say I'm so scared about just like how social media is acting and like desensitizing us, bro. Like for real, like because these things we're able to talk about because we can decipher from the differences, you know what I mean? Like what it's supposed to be like and what it's not. But kids coming up in a time where all of this behavior is what's prevalent, then they think that shit is normal. And that is so important that we change, bro. It's so important that we just like just start literally changing human behaviors, because we're going down the deep end. Like this shit is dangerous. Like whether people believe it or not, like it is, bro. It is. And like it's honestly, I think our life's mission for real to make sure that does not happen. For real, to make sure that does not happen, and that people are heard, and that there is understanding. Like when we say perspective and understanding, we really mean like don't just listen to us, interpret us. You know what I mean? Like have your own thoughts, because we're trying to figure this shit out and be progressive. Like it's not just about coming here, listening, and walk away. It's way bigger than this. Like it's so important to have your own perspective, because then too, I've even noticed like from our conversations, bro, like I don't have the same understanding going in as when I do coming away from our conversations. You know what I mean? Like for real, like I may say something that'll spark something within you that'll then spark something within me, and then we start to gain, you know what I mean? That's when we start to gain understanding. But that's why it's so important. That's why communication and conversation is so important, because we can get places that we wouldn't have got if we would have never talked.
Power of it.
So this shit is way bigger than us. I just wanted to reiterate that, like our motivation behind this, like this is not just a podcast. You know what I mean? This is not just a podcast. We're not just trying to get followers. We don't give a fuck about attention. That's a buy factor. You know what I mean? And we care about it in sense of the amount of people that we affect and the amount of people that are influenced. But in terms of attention, that shit is air. You know what I mean? Like it's not about that. Like I wanted to play too, bro. Like when we were talking to Jordan, I didn't even let you hear the shit yet.
Oh yeah.
When we were talking I just put the nigga name out.
Yeah, slipped out. That's how, bro.
I got passionate.
That's how conversational this is. That's how conversational this is, bro.
I got passionate.
Forget the cameras.
I tell you, I forgot.
Up.
I forgot where I was at.
Damn.
All right.
That's
it's
right,
okay. Leave it in there. You don't care.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't know. That's a popular name.
Yeah, facts.
Yeah, no, but I'll want to give some context, because I feel like I was talking too much. Give some context behind like what this is. Like
I feel like you'd be better at the context. I just wanted to add in though, I'm
Go
big
ahead
on
while I'm
awareness.
Mm-hmm.
That was my whole thing in the podcast too. Is kind of like bringing awareness, and it's like solutions. It's like I'm not just talking to talk. I've never been that kind of person. I'm not just talking to hear my voice.
Yeah.
Because that's the other thing I realized too. Like you were saying, attention. It's like it's a lot of people that just want to be famous to just say they're famous.
Yeah.
They don't have any message to send. They don't have anything positive, anything progressive. They literally just want people looking at them, knowing what they're doing, for the sake of it.
Mm-hmm.
And like for me, that shit is unimportant.
Yeah.
And that's the problem though. That's so many people are chasing that.
Mm-hmm.
That air, like you're talking about. It's literally there's no substance in that. There's nothing. Like I'm talking because I want awareness, and that was my biggest thing too. It was like, it's like access, kind of being around. It's just like I don't know, because I've always felt like why isn't more information spread? Like it's something I really thought about. Like something like ignorance, I feel like is something that should be able to be eradicated. And I'm not saying this podcast is gonna eradicate ignorance, but it's like that's the direction I'm trying to move. Like
for sure.
The more I learn, the more I realize, I'm trying to share that information.
Exactly.
If I figure out something before someone else, I'm trying to illuminate the path for them too.
Mm-hmm.
Same way, hopefully somebody older than me does the same for me, or and people in the past have done, where it's like you need that, and like that's kind of what I'm achieving. That's why I'm trying to learn as much as possible, and being willing and humble and realize that I don't know everything. I don't know a lot.
Exactly.
You know, I feel like I have experienced a lot. I've had a lot of unique experiences in my life, but it's like it's just my experience.
Yeah.
You know, there's value and lots of value in hearing from everyone's experiences, and like that's what's important. That's also what I'm trying to get people more comfortable speaking on, because it's something I know I wasn't very comfortable speaking on for various reasons, because it's like a lot of time, like I'm saying, like I continue to say, it's like because I don't feel heard. I'm speaking on things, but it's like people are asking me stuff they don't really care about, or people are like asking me stuff just like they don't really care, and so like now I'm trying to get in a space where it's like it's normal to be genuine. It's normal to really care about like what people are doing, and not take out the jealousy, take out the animosity. You know, it's like just genuinely be happy for someone. Listen to what they're doing, like what they're passionate about, what they care about, and like sparking conversation. That was my biggest thing going into this. It's just because like you're saying, it's people that go 22 years, people that go even longer than that without having anybody they can really connect to outside of their family. And even then, it's a disconnect too. Just and not like such a bad thing, but just a natural thing, like a generational thing between parents and kids. You can be super close to your parent, but like they still grew up in a different world than you did. And so it's like they can relate and try to relate as much as they can, but it's like there's only so much. You know, it's like your peers, and it's like people that are similar in age with you. That's who really has an effect and influences you. And so like that's who I'm trying to reach out to. Yeah,
and we will. I honestly believe we will. That's where my faith comes in, bro. Because it's like, remember, like, even how, I know this is repetitive. This is probably in a past podcast, but the conversation of hype and numbers and normalization, you know what I mean? That's how I look at it. Like, if we can somehow make this normal, you know, that's the goal. It's just to take a turn from what's normal now and make a new thing normal.
A new normal.
You know? Exactly. Like, create a new normal. But it's a healthier normal.
Facts.
You know what I mean? A normal where there's a lot less.
Progressive normal.
Exactly. A progressive normal. A lot less bottled up feelings inside, which in turn is a lot less anxieties, which in turn is better mental health, which in turn it helps so many
better
things.
Interactions. So,
better interactions, better communication. You know, when you were talking, bro, I just thought of some shit. I'm acting like we're famous already or some shit. I just thought of a challenge. Like that's where I'm at with
it out.
I'm about to talk about shit, bro. I just thought of a challenge because I look at social media, because, you know, I'm still on social media. There's a lot of bullshit challenges that come out. A lot of it's fun. You know, don't get me wrong. Like, I'm not a hermit. Like, niggas be going like this and shit. Like, that's
driving their car.
Niggas all around the fucking world just going like this. You know what I mean? Like, it's cool. It's fun. But, like, I just thought of a challenge of substance. And I challenge anybody listening to this. And I want this to blow up, too. Like, I want it to, like, circulate around as far as I can get it. And I'm going to edit this at the end, and I'm going to make it a clip so it's specifically this part so everybody can hear this shit. I challenge everybody listening to this to go out with your friends, right? For one day. Do not go on social media the whole time you're with them. I don't care what it is.
No
Do
post,
nothing.
nothing.
No post, no nothing. Don't check it,
it,
nothing.
yeah.
Don't even look at it. Just go. Don't be on social media. Be present in the moment with your friends, because that's something that I practice every time I'm with my friends. I don't know if my friends even notice, but I don't go on my phone at all. You know what I mean? Unless it's like a phone call, Or if it beeps, you know, I'll look at it because, you know, you get the little post shit so you can see like, oh, it's Instagram, oh, it's Snapchat, whatever it is.
Yeah.
You know, you realize if it's important or not. But I challenge everybody listening to this, just take one day, and wherever you go, whatever you do, don't check your phone. Just live in the present moment the whole time, and enjoy the company of whoever you're with.
That's a good challenge.
See what the fuck happens. You know what I mean?
challenge.
Try to talk about something. Ask them how their day was.
See, and that's where conversation comes up though, because it's like in that dead space where people would now just jump on a phone, and instead of that, okay, now use that time to reflect on something deeper. That's all that is. That's all that moment is. It's like waiting for something, and it's like the phone is the cop out.
Mm-hmm.
It allows people to not do that.
That's exactly what it is. Bro, one time I had a chemistry professor, and this was so dope to me. This really like kind of like impacted my thinking. Like this really played a factor in how I view social media and how often we're on it and stuff. Pretty much he had said like, I get my water real quick. He pretty much would just said like, when he would ask a question, like he would lecture and he would be like, okay, like, is there any questions? Bro would wait for 45 seconds after he asked the question. He wouldn't do anything else or say anything else, right? So he would be like, okay, like, are there any questions? It's quiet for 45 seconds. You know what I mean? Like that type of thing. Once you get to about 30, 35 seconds, bro, every fucking time somebody raised their hand and asked a question. When you got, like, literally, it would take 30 seconds of silence to get to it, though. But somebody would ask a question. So I don't know the cognitive research behind it or the exact numbers, but he did it for a reason. You know, it was intentional.
And it worked.
And yeah, exactly. And sure enough, every time, like 30, 35 seconds, somebody would fucking answer. So imagine what you're doing when you're talking to somebody and there's 5 seconds of silence and then you got to be like,
exactly.
You know what I mean? Because you feel uncomfortable in that dead space. You never talk about anything.
You avoid it.
Exactly. You never talk about anything. Nobody ever gets anything out. So, yeah, man, that's the challenge. But I wanted to play this clip. You hearing this for the first time too?
Okay.
About this is like a commercial, low key, bro. I'm gonna like put it up, but this is real.
The day too. It was a good conversation.
Yeah. No, it was a really dope conversation. I'm gonna put it in the mic. This is pretty much just, bro knew I was recording, but didn't know at the same time. You know, because we talked for like an hour and a half, like long time. Forgot we were recording, but he said this, and I just want to put this out as a sentiment to like what this is. You know what I mean? So that's what he had to say.
Now I have a better understanding of a lot of things, and I'm glad. I'm still learning now every day. So,
dude, we're gonna learn until the day we die, bro. For real.
Man, like even just being here talking with you guys, like this is like I like this. I like the energy in here. Like I like talking about these things you can't talk about with everybody else.
Yeah, man, that's the point.
Yeah, that's social class, man. Like it's just
that's the point, bro. This is real. It's not fake.
For real.
This isn't just to get like fucking as many listeners as we can. Like that's not really what it's about.
Yeah.
You know, it's about genuinely affecting people.
Like you guys are like doing something really great. Like I have never seen one podcast ever touch on mental health, bro.
Yeah. Like
as strong as you guys are right now. Like mental health is so important.
But that's how bro felt from when we were talking. So I just say that to say like this is the reaction that I'm getting from people that I'm talking to on the streets too. You know what I mean? So this is important. You know what I mean? This is evident. Like it's very important that we get these messages out, and even us just simply having a conversation, because it's not what's normal. Yeah. For real. Like, and that's what kind of took me back from, like I said, when I was talking to those people and they thought I was like 28, 29, because I realized, because as a matter of fact, this is exactly what the dude said. Once again, this is not my ego talking. I'm just telling you like what it was. He was like, bro, you're not an average 22-year-old. And that was weird for me to hear him say that, because I'm just speaking my mind. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, like I'm not trying to be, you know what I mean? But that's an ode to the fact that speaking your mind is different.
It's rare.
You know what I mean? That's rare. And that shouldn't be, it should be normal. All of us should be talking. You know what I mean? All of us should be willing to share our opinions. You know what I mean? And it just needs to be normalized, man. And I'm hoping, like, in turn, like we've talked about, like we're going to get guests on here, you know, to hear other people's perspectives, because we realize that, in a sense, like it's biased. You know what I mean? Like we can acknowledge that. Like we're both two black men. We have our own experiences. other people. We need women involved. We need other races involved. We need to hear other people's perspectives too,
Facts.
and we're receptive to it. You know what I mean? But man, social class, bro, this shit runs deep.
For real.
There's something out. You got something else to say?
Yeah, bro.
I don't even know how long we've been talking.
Me neither. But what you hit on is just vulnerability. It's like open conversations without judgment, because it's like the way we're taught. It's like there's no, bro. You can literally say whatever.
Yeah.
And my first reaction is not going to be judgment. It's going to be
Yeah.
try to understand. Okay, where's that coming from?
Yeah.
You know, and like that's something where it's like people gotta try to get into that more. Where it's like most of the time the first thing they're gonna do is like judgment. Oh, that was stupid. He's an idiot. You know what I'm saying? This failing to realize like, and it's because it's crazy. This concept is like can be applied.
Anything.
So many different layers. People
Yeah.
in prison. All people in prison are bad people.
Mm-hmm.
Don't take any. You don't take into account any of the context, any of the environment, any of the other stuff. It's like you just like people are so quick to put blanket judgments over people.
Yeah.
And like the solution to that is conversations.
Mm-hmm.
When you talk to people, then it's like from their perspective, kind of where they're coming from, how they're feeling.
Mm-hmm.
And like that's the. And then in those open conversations, it's gonna be vulnerable, but that's what's important. But it's like I get why people aren't, because it's like the norm is like that's gonna get taken advantage of.
Yeah.
If I tell you my weakness, what's like the first thing
Yeah.
people are gonna do is use
Yeah,
that
you
against
wanna
me.
use
So
that
it's like people are
weakness
like,
against
I'm gonna hide my weaknesses. I'm gonna put up my strongest attributes, Instagram, and it's like and just run with that and avoid and ignore the rest. But it's like I'm just trying to get to a point where everybody get comfortable talking about vulnerabilities, emotions, especially men, all this type of stuff where it's like, it's necessary. The time is now. We gotta stop running. It's the same thing about race and racism. Like a lot of things need to be addressed, need to start getting talked about. And it's
we
like
gotta stop acting like we aren't different races.
Yeah.
For real, like acting like racism doesn't exist. It's the same thing like how you talk about problems. It's like ignoring your problem just makes you ignorant to the fact that they're there.
It's not gonna make it go away. Exactly.
Like, why are we trying to ignore these things and act like they aren't real? We have to address them.
And that's the thing that people fail to realize, that I realized the hard way. Emotional wounds take much longer to heal than physical wounds. Much hard, but it's crazy. People don't see it like that. People would much rather. I feel like maybe some people unconsciously see it like that, and they know like the damage that emotional wounds, but like they don't want to outwardly admit that. They kind of just like, cause like, man, like emotional wounds, like if you don't take the time to really fix them, like they're gonna persist. Like it's not gonna go away. It's only gonna create more and more problems. And that's kind of like essentially what's been happening.
I just feel like just how you spoke on kind of like if people know your weaknesses, you know what I mean, then what are they going to do? Like the way that I look at it is just like, I got this from Charlemagne the God. All right, these are my words. He just pretty much talks about like living in your truth. You know what I mean? And if you live in your truth, then it can't be used against you. And that's how I feel. You know, that's how I try to live my life. Like as long as I'm honest, you know what I mean? And I just upfront about the things that are going on, it's like, like I put it out. You know what I mean? So it's like I have control of the narrative. You know what I mean? I can't control how somebody perceives it, but it's like if I do wrong and then I come out before anybody else says anything about it, and I'm just like, my bad. I fucked up. Yeah. You know what I mean? Straight up. And I hold myself accountable for something. It's like, what the fuck is somebody going to say?
But how rare is that? It's usually the opposite. Most time people are going to wait until they get caught. Then, I'm so sorry this happened.
Yeah.
But it's like, and like that goes back to like the acknowledgement and the recognition, how it's like that's something that you possess, which is very key and valuable that a lot of people don't. The ability to admit when you're wrong. The ability, and that's something that's tied right back into the men, where it's like not being able to admit, oh, I fucked up, I made a mistake, I had a misjudgment. So many people struggle with that because, and it goes back to the vulnerability. So it's like, okay, I make a mistake. Now it's like next time I want to do something, that's what people are going to point to. Oh, your mistakes. Like, oh, where you fucked up, where you did wrong. And that's what people are afraid of. But it's like, you got to embrace, that's part of it. That's part of the process. That's part of the journey. That's part of all of it. Yeah. You got to embrace that. But if you act like you can never make any mistakes or you never do anything wrong, there's no growth.
Everybody fucks up though. That's why I don't see like it's a big deal.
But it's like, and it goes back to the process, and like everybody only appreciates the destination. Yeah. So it's like if you're the person that's saying I fucked up, people are like, I don't, like they use that against you almost. They're like, I care about the person who made it seem like they didn't fuck up at all and made it to the top. But it's like that's nobody.
Yeah, because that's flawless.
Like that's nobody. It's an image they're putting out. Man, but like. the awareness. That's
Yeah.
really,
Yeah.
cause like that's the thing too. I don't like the word woke.
I
Like,
don't either.
I don't,
hate that
you know,
word.
exactly. Cause
Stop using the word woke.
yeah, I feel like it gets so distorted and
Yeah.
It's like, it's crazy because like
People
woke,
is fake woke.
exactly. Woke almost reminds me of like, I just thought this the other day, bro. Religion literally is just like people's. This is my interpretation of it, obviously, and it's gonna sound cynical, but like religion really is just people's rationalization to do bad. You know,
Yeah.
like they're just gonna go out and do a bunch of dumb shit, but they're gonna hide behind the wall of religion.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, again, I'm just speaking from firsthand. Like the same coach I was telling you about in the last podcast was the most Christian man you could ever meet.
Yeah.
But it's like that's the same man was taking bribes. That
Yeah.
same man. So it's like it's the hypocrisy.
Breaking the 10 Commandments left and right.
It's the hypocrisy.
Yeah.
So that's all it is. So it's like that's why it's like I feel like a lot of people, and it's the same way. Like they hide behind it, and like it's different things. But it's like whether it's social media, it's different things. People hide behind stuff to avoid, and it's like we gotta stop avoiding. We gotta start embracing.
Yeah, for real.
Like everything.
Yeah. Damn, bro, this one feels intense. I don't even want to end this shit. For real.
Well, this was a good conversation. But you said you had a good feeling, bro.
We did on this one. I told you, bro. I was like, I rolled up. I was like, this shit about to be good today.
I had a good feeling about it too, bro.
Episode 3 got popping, man. I don't even want to stop talking.
I know, bro, because we hit on a bunch of stuff, but it's like, it's connected.
We did, man. We did.
Just flow.
But at the end of the day, shit, I guess I'll wrap it up because I have to. We can't be here forever, and then everybody will just have to wait for episode 4. But damn, bro, that was good. That was really dope. I guess at the end of the day, I'll just say, man, I want to give a shout out. I'll give a shout out to all the women, bro. That's how I started it off. So, yeah, man, just women, we appreciate you so much. You know what I mean? Whether any man out there doesn't know how to act, you know what I mean? That's his own experiences. You know, that's his own society. We have to understand how things operate. You know, I remember I was listening to Dr. Umar Johnson, doctor of clinical psychology, and he was saying that before we solve a problem, we have to understand how the problem operates first and foremost. Yeah. So it's like
From the root.
Exactly, like from the root. So I just say, with a progressive mind, you know what I mean, and like a positive approach and a healthy heart, things will get better. You know what I mean? But it's going to take, like we always say, man, just perspective and understanding, for real. But name that book one more time before we go.
Yeah, it's called Boys and Sex by Peggy Orenstein, and it's a good one. I think especially a lot of young men, I would highly recommend it to any men out there, but women too. Mm-hmm. But definitely men. Start a conversation.
All right, shit. I guess we out, bro. This has been episode 3, Social Class.